Okay, hello everybody, part two. Bike chain. I replaced my bike chain because it broke, and it was too fucking loose, and it's still pretty loose, but it will work until I get it figured out. I bought a new spring assembly for the chain, but the spring wouldn't seem to be tight enough, and would not hold the chain up tight enough to get any. So it's touching. It shouldn't be touching. You don't want it to be touching. But for right now, I'll tell you what I did. It kept binding up in this motherfucker right here. Right here at this second bolt right there. Bam! It get caught up, and I would take it all apart. I had to take the clutch apart, and I put it back on there and just pop right on with a screwdriver, right? You know, I'm going, okay, what the hell? So I'm going, it's the alignment. I got the alignment fixed. So it is the alignment. It's okay if it's a little bit loose, but you don't want that loose. Well, the way I fixed it was I took some degreaser right in here and I cleaned this while the chain was off it. And this was off it too, the case was off it. In there, it goes a little L right around the chain where the chain goes around the gear. There's a big gap, a fairly good gap there. And you grab yourself some, this is what I went and got, Flex Steel, JB Weld, cost about $5-6. I had it for another project, but it worked good. I took some degreaser and a screwdriver and cleaned it out really good in here as best I could. And and then what I did was I covered that up, and I took my Dremel with the little tiny bit Dremel, and this pot metal, it's pretty freaking cheap, so you can scrape into it pretty easy. I guess you could use a screwdriver or whatever, but you want some grooves in there. So you put some grooves along the back right here, and a little bit down here, and you work yourself about a quarter, probably about a quarter to a nickel size round of this steel stick, and you work it into a formal clay, because it's black and white or black and gray or silver and gray or whatever the fuck, and you want it to get one color. And once it gets one color, you worm it out to like a little bit of a worm about 1.5 inches long, and you get it semi, you flatten it semi, but where it's still kind of halfway round, and you cram it up in there. Well, you don't cram it, you stick it up in there with a screwdriver. Using a screwdriver, you put it up in there, and then you use the flat end of a bigger end screwdriver, and you flatten it up against there, against both sides, against the sides of the gear in there, and see right up in there. You want to put it right on this side, and then you let it dry overnight, and you come out and pick it out. Man, that shit was, you can still kind of see it a little bit right there, but it's solid as a rock. And what it does is it took up all that slack in there, so the chain doesn't back up no more. It's a little bit loose, but I'm going to fix that. You can't leave it loose, or you'll end up fucking, you'll have more problems. So, but today, it's my only means of transpo. Law took my license, so it's the only way I get around. So, but today, it'll work, and then tomorrow, we will make another video, and we'll figure out how to pick up the slack. But it should work for now. JB Weld, a Dremel, or you can wait 3 or 4 weeks and go through China and all that bullshit. They want a new, to get the gear off, you gotta have a special tool. You gotta have to get your gap thing for your chain, it's a special tool. It's a special thing. They want you to drill holes and all this bullshit. I said, man, and wait 3 weeks. Or you can go out and get a JB Weld. If you have a Dremel thing, you'll have it done in an hour. And you're back and riding the very next day. I already wrote it, it runs, it was fine. I'm just trying to do some fine tuning real quick to I'm working on it. This is my homemade air filter. Nice, huh? I had a stock air filter, wouldn't work with my carburetor. I polished most of it. It's been a lot of work, but this is my homemade boost bottle that I made out of a PVC pipe. I took a PVC pipe and I drilled a small hole, and I took this from this was like one of those pieces that you put in for hose. I cut it in half. And then I got it red hot with a screwdriver or with a pair of pliers. I grabbed it and I stuffed it right in there, man, and it melted right around it. So then I put some super glue and stuff right around it, the bolt, and I put it in there. And then I ran a regular hose and I drilled a hole in here. And this is what I grabbed the liquid metal for. Was after I drilled the hole, I used the other end of this, and I stuffed it in there because it was real tight, but I ran it so it barely fit in there tight, and then I put JB Weld around it. It worked, dude. It worked kick-ass. And that's my homemade boost bottle, man. It costed me about $5. Most of this shit I've done it myself. I've been riding it for about a year, and I've had problem after problem. But if you just got to be smarter, and you keep your patience, and watch YouTube. And that's why I'm sending this. This is why I'm sending this video to YouTube, to help all you guys that are having chain problems, that it's blocking up and backing up. There is a way. You don't have to pay a bunch of money, and you can do it yourself with some steel stick, a Dremel, and that. So thank you all. I hope it all worked out good for you all. Good luck and have a good day. Peace out.